Does anyone else remember a cartoon called Maple Hollow? I've been trying to find it online for weeks, but it's like it never existed. No wiki entries, no fan art, no grainy VHS rips on obscure forums. Nothing. It's driving me crazy because I know it was real. I used to watch it every single morning before school, religiously. It was this weird off-brand show with these unsettlingly simple characters. There was Benny the Bear, who always wore a tiny red boatie. Clara the Cat, who had these huge vacant blue eyes. And then there was Mr. Wren, a lanky, smiling scarecrow who was supposedly the wise old figure of the town. Maple Hollow itself was always bathed in this perpetual autumn glow, with leaves constantly falling, but never quite covering the ground. The animation style was strange. It was choppy, almost like a flipbook, and the colors were always a little too saturated, a little too bright. The characters would move with this jerky, unnatural quality, and their smiles. Their smiles never reached their eyes. They were just these painted-on grins that never changed, no matter what was happening. Even as a kid, something about it felt wrong, like I was watching something I wasn't supposed to. I remember one specific episode. Benny found a lost music box in the woods. When he opened it, a haunting little tune played, and the world around him started to fade to gray. Clara and Mr. Wren had to sing a special song to bring the color back. I can still hear that music box tune in my head sometimes, late at night. It's a simple, tinkling melody, but it sends a shiver down my spine every time. My parents don't remember it. My older brother, who I was sure watched it with me, just gives me a blank stare when I ask. He says we only ever watched the big, popular cartoons. But I have these vivid memories. I can picture the worn-out VHS tape with the handwritten Maple Hollow label. I can smell the dusty attic where we kept it. It was real. I know it was. Last Tuesday, things got weirder. I was walking home from work, and I took a shortcut through a small park one rarely visit. In the middle of the park, under an old oak tree, was a scarecrow. It was tall and lanky, wearing a tattered brown coat and a floppy hat. Its head was a burlap sack with two big black buttons for eyes and a stitched-on smile that stretched from ear to ear. It looked exactly like Mr. Wren. I froze. My heart hammered against my ribs. It had to be a coincidence, right? It was almost Halloween. People put up decorations. But this one, it looked so specific, so unnervingly familiar. Its smile seemed to widen as I stared, the stitched thread pulling at the fabric. I felt this intense, irrational fear, like a kid afraid of the monster under the bed. I turned and practically ran out of the park, not looking back. The next day, a package arrived at my apartment. It was a small, brown cardboard box with no return address. My name and address were written on it in a childish, blocky script. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside, nestled in a bed of dry, brittle autumn leaves, was a small wooden music box. It was old, the varnish peeling, with a delicate carving of a bear on the lid. I knew, even before I opened it, what I would hear. With a deep breath, I lifted the lid. The same tinkling, haunting melody from that lost episode filled my quiet apartment. The world outside my window didn't turn gray, but the light seemed to dim, and a cold draft swept through the room, even though the windows were closed. I slammed the lid shut, my breath catching in my throat. This wasn't a memory anymore. This was happening now. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the floorboards, Every rustle of leaves outside sounded sinister. Around 3 a.m., I heard a faint scratching at my front door. It wasn't an animal. It was slow, deliberate. Scratch, pause, scratch, pause. I crept to the peephole, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Peering through the distorted lens, I saw them. Standing on my doorstep, bathed in the sickly orange glow of the hallway light, were 3 figures. One was short and stout, with a round face and a tiny red body pinned to his shirt. Another was a woman with unnaturally large, glassy blue eyes that stared straight ahead, unblinking. And standing behind them, towering over them both, was the Scarecrow, Mr. Wren. But they weren't cartoons. They were people, or things that looked like people. Their skin had the texture of aged animation cells, waxy and slightly translucent. Their movements were jerky and disjointed, just like on the show. Benny the bear, or the man who looked like him, was doing the scratching. His fingernails were long and yellowed. Clara's blank, blue-eyed gaze was fixed on my door, her painted-on smile a terrifying slash of red on her pale face. And Mr. Wren, his burlap sack face was turned slightly, as if listening. The stitched smile seemed to pulse in the dim light. They weren't just characters from a show anymore. They had aged. The man-bear had flecks of gray in his hair. The Catwoman had fine lines around her unblinking eyes. They looked like they'd been living a hard life somewhere, waiting for me. The scratching stopped. Then a voice, raspy and dry like rustling leaves, whispered through the door. It was Mr. Wren. "It's time to come home," he said. "Maple Hollow misses you. We've been so lonely." I stumbled back from the door, my hand clamped over my mouth to stifle a scream. This couldn't be real. I was having a nightmare, a waking, breathing nightmare. I ran to my bedroom and locked the door, shoving a dresser in front of it. I could hear them now, not just at the front door, but all around the apartment. A faint scratching on the window pane, a soft thud on the wall, the tinkling of the music box starting up again on its own from the living room. Then Clara's voice, high and unervingly sweet, like a broken record. "We made your favorite, honey cakes and cider, just like you remember." Their voices were wrong. They had the same pitch and cadence as the cartoon, but they were aged, distorted. Benny's voice was a low, guttural rumble. "We've kept your room just the way you left it. It's time to come back and play with us. Forever." I huddled in the corner of my room, pulling my knees to my chest, trying to block out the sounds. But I could see them in my mind's eye, their waxy skin, their jerky movements, their painted-on smiles that promised anything but happiness. I don't know how long I stayed there, listening to them whisper and scratch and tap. It felt like an eternity. Eventually, as the first hint of dawn lightened the sky, the sounds faded. Silence returned. After an hour of absolute quiet, I finally found the courage to move. I peered out the window. The street was empty. Slowly, I unlocked my bedroom door and pushed aside the dresser. The apartment was just as I'd left it, except for one thing. The music box was gone. And on the coffee table where it had been, there was a single, perfect, crimson maple leaf. I know they're not gone. They're just waiting. They've crossed over from whatever forgotten corner of my memory they existed in, and they want me to join them. I see them now out of the corner of my eye, a flash of a red bogey in a crowd, a tall, lanky figure standing motionless in a distant field, A woman with piercing blue eyes staring at me from across the street. They're trying to replace my reality with theirs. Piece by piece, the colors of my world feel a little duller each day, a little more faded. The sounds are more muted. It's like my life is slowly being drained of color, just like in that episode. They're trying to pull me into Maple Hollow. And the scariest part is, I think a part of me remembers it as home. I don't know how to fight something that's already inside my own head. I just know that sooner or later they're coming back. And next time I don't think they'll leave without me. Thanks for listening.